So you want to check out some live music tonight in Ottawa, but you're not sure of where to start looking? Maybe you're not even sure what you're in the mood for. I've got a website for you. Go to Ottawagigs.ca. They have everything you need. Bands, artists, styles, venues, times, even the cost to get in. It's all at your fingertips on an easy-to-use website, Ottawagigs.ca. Go discover the incredible talent, the amazing venues, and the exciting nightlife that Ottawa has to offer. Start your night with Ottawagigs.ca, your guide to the gig.
You've got a real attitude problem, McFly. You're a slacker.
Born and raised in South Bay, lower class punk ass, I was Northwood grade. I had it made. Spent my nights drinking with my mates. Just a short bus ride up to PA. Red River Raid. Then I hit the wall and I knew I had to bounce. They still say that 19 years ago, and I got the hell out. From time to time you may see me hanging around. Now I feel like a stranger in this town. Crossing roads is where I learned to play. Westwood Tavern's where I learned to walk away.
Hey, this is Mike. This is Ego and Vice, episode 157. Thanks for being here. Season 8 is rolling along quite nicely and getting closer and closer to my mid-season break. July, maybe August. No plans, really. Busy up until then. This week on the podcast, I had a local singer-songwriter, a musician, very, very, very talented artist. Her name is Elle Sherlock. The conversation, I'm not going to lie to you, went a little long, but it was very engaging, and time flies when you're having fun. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to shorten the Ego and Vice monologue, as I like to call it, and we're going to get right to some music. Elle actually gave me the privilege, thank you so much, to debut a new song that she has unreleased, I suppose. Released right here, right now, on Ego and Vice. The song is called The Edge. It's lovely. Once we're back from the edge, we have the conversation with Elle Sherlock. So here we go. Here's Elle Sherlock. Here's The Edge. Hey, it's Ego and Vice.
Remember me, the blood to my cheeks. I said I'm yours to keep. A
Hey, we're back. This is Ego and Vice. This is episode 157. As promised in the intro, sitting here in Southhood Studio, I have a local singer-songwriter, musician, artist, if you will. Her name is Elle Sherlock. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing great.
It is probably one of the nicest days of the year.
So far, absolutely.
One of these days, I'm going to figure out how to do the podcast from outside.
Might be a little windy.
Yeah.
Might be some surprise Ottawa sounds.
There would definitely be some logistics involved, but I think I could do it. And it's a shame that we're sitting inside on such a lovely day. Because we know in Ottawa, our winters never end. I think there was a snowstorm like last week.
Yeah. But I'm from Thunder Bay and originally from Sioux Lookout. So honestly, the Ottawa tears, the worst thing about it is that period where there is slushy, muddy, like rain and ice back and forth for me. But the Ottawa winters are nothing like what I actually grew up with.
That's fair. And as funny as it would be, coincidentally, I am also from Thunder Bay.
Yeah, we
And
heard that.
we found this out during, I guess, just conversing back and forth. I always tell people I was born in a snowstorm. So I understand where you said, like, the Ottawa tears. I always say, like, this is nothing. When I was born, it was, like, minus 40, you
Yeah.
know? And that's not even at the airport, which was minus 52.
Yep.
Watch the wind. So I guess we can't complain. In the winters, I live on the ski hill. I snowboard. And in the summers, I love my mountain bike.
Awesome.
And I went out today for the first time. I'm absolutely exhausted. My legs are killing me because I haven't been on the bike in like 7 months or 6 months or whatever the hell winter is in Canada these days. So if I'm a little sluggish, I apologize.
Are there mountain biking trails around here? Were you mountain biking?
Maybe I should say it's like a hybrid / street mountain bike. Like it's not one of those fast, like skinny bikes where the guys, they get their spandex shorts and their little clickety clack shoes.
Oh, yeah,
and
the look.
Their aerodynamic helmets with the point on the back.
Yeah. That is why it's hard to date in Ottawa, because of that. There's so much of that.
Sure. I have like it looks like a mountain bike, but it has like the street tires, and I like going on like the canal paths and into Quebec, and you know I stay off the streets because I don't want to get run over.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Anyway, so Elle, music. Was it your first love? Were you born into a musical household? Did you come out whistling, singing something? What was your first memory of music in your life?
Yeah, so I'm not from a musical family, at least not on the Canadian side, which is what I grew up with. So my dad's British, my mom's from Northern Ontario, and I grew up in Northern Ontario. None of them were musical at all. They love hockey, and it's awesome. I was the only one that went in an artistic direction. But my dad would sing, and it used to be the type of thing where, like, even though it was actually pretty good in retrospect, I'd be a little kid going like, stop! Mm-hmm. But he has great taste in music, and he was always showing me stuff that maybe at the time I was resistant to it, but sometimes it was actually pretty sick. So yeah, it was probably because of that, but at first I actually started in visual art. I was really, really good at drawing and painting. Because we lived in a remote place, there was lots of time to do that. I did that for a long time. And I think the only thing that flipped that was when I was around 10, my parents forced me to do piano lessons. And I had been telling them no for years, and eventually they just said, no, you have to do it. But I loved it so much immediately that it just became my main thing.
I just have to interrupt. When I was a kid, it's funny that you said that, but you followed the path. When I was a kid, my mom made me take piano lessons. I hated it. I didn't want to be there. I wanted to be outside playing in the mud and the dirt, you know. It's your average Thunder Bay young kid.
Yeah.
And she made me take them for about a year. I played like a recital, and then I guess I broke her down and I quit. She'd let me quit. But I always said, now that with the music in my life, because I didn't do anything musical until I was like in my mid-teens, I think.
Okay.
I just discovered it, I guess. But now I say the one regret I have is quitting those piano lessons. Because if I would have just kept going, I probably would have found the love for it eventually.
Yeah.
Because I love music so much now. and I would have just continued on and think how, you know what I mean, where I'd be now. And I always said I'd give up everything on guitar I know now to have not quit those piano lessons. I would.
Did you do guitar lessons or did
No.
you just play?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
all self-taught. And I've tinkered on the piano, but I can't do what I want to, what I hear people do and what I hear, because I think piano is beautiful. It captures every stage, but guitar is it's a wonderful instrument, but it just doesn't have that same, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I in a certain way forgot that, and I had a bit more of a piano renaissance because I did go off and play in bands, and I thought guitar was cooler for a while. I think maybe it's an age thing. Like, partly I was forced to play piano, but also I was a pretty nerdy kid, so I was comfortable occupying the piano nerd space.
Yeah, that's fair.
But at a certain point, I wanted to play guitar. I didn't want to play piano in a band.
What'd you do?
I taught myself to play guitar, which, like, in the internet age with, like, 911 tabs, Ultimate Guitar, wasn't that hard to do because I didn't have to learn how to read sheet music for guitar at first.
Right.
But then that classical piano background made it so that I actually could do it eventually, like, with more reps in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't think it was cool. Now I kind of wish I understood better where I could have gone with that, but...
Learning piano and actually taking lessons and following through with it. So you obviously know how to read music. You understand it and stuff. Did that help? Like you said, you kind of taught yourself how to play guitar. Did understanding music from piano help you play guitar? Or was it still just kind of like, well, it's just...
It had to have helped because piano's such a rhythmic instrument. And so whether it was like I'm consciously applying my old homework or it's just intuitive. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, it had to have helped.
Yeah, I think so, right? Because I guess you start with anything, you start understanding, and it's not even reading a sheet, but you start understanding like time and melody and just the way music flows, right? And it's like, oh, this makes sense, right? And I think a lot of people who learn or are self-taught, I guess they have to figure it out. If you're learning how to play a guitar by yourself and you actually stick through it, you must love music because it's not something you just pick up and go, yeah, I'll just keep doing this.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable too.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a guitar that was set up well. It wasn't set up for me. Mm-hmm. And one thing I didn't find out until probably like 15 years too late is that I shouldn't have had a full-size guitar because of my body size. Yeah, it was that the really nice lady at Metro Music told me that, and I don't know if I'd ever really talked to a female guitar player before.
Okay.
But she just let me in on this, what should have been like a very obvious fact. You need a small guitar because you're small. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense, right? You don't really think about it. Like any guitar I've ever picked up is kind of fit me, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess if you're a smaller frame, smaller fingers, smaller reach and stuff like that. Yeah, and you go into like Long and McQuaid and you go in like the guitar room and there's all those kind of like, you have the big guitars like acoustics and then you have those kind of medium sized ones.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize, I guess they could be worked both ways because they must have different tones. I always thought they were for like, oh, I want like a different tone than the big guitar has, but maybe they're made for smaller people.
Well, what she actually told me was just, you have this big size guitar from back in the day when you needed to overcome the sound of drums because you didn't necessarily have amplification. Mm-hmm. Now we have amplification, so we have a choice to use that or to not use that.
That's fair.
Yeah, and I mean, there's obviously more to it than that, but it was great for me to find that out, and also great for me to find out that if you just, like, if it's hard for you to play the guitar, because physically it takes some skill to produce a good sound.
A little bit, yeah.
Get it adjusted.
That's right.
Like, you can't do that so much with a piano. You just get it tuned once in a while.
Right.
But with a guitar, if it's not working for you, you might actually just need it set up better.
That's fair. That's some good advice. Take that advice. Anyone who's listening with that, who's having some
beginners
guitar issues. Piano, guitar. Do you play anything else?
I took drum lessons for a while in Thunder Bay. But no, I don't really play the drums. I learned a couple things, but no, not a drummer.
Do you favor one over the other, guitar, piano, or are they both kind of like?
I switch back and forth for different things. my performance style on guitar comes out very differently than if I have a piano in front of me, which is more of a luxury because it's difficult to bring those everywhere with you. But no, I don't have a preference. Maybe on a given day, though.
How about for songwriting?
I switch back and forth.
You have like a method for both. And
yeah, you're
that's
gonna
cool.
get a different sound. I tend to write cinematic stuff on piano. The types of riffs that I gravitate towards on piano are like mesmerizing, depressive, 9-inch nails kinds of things.
I dig it.
But then if I'm working on something like that and it's not going anywhere, I might just take it and put it on guitar, try to do some work on it, and eventually it'll end up where it belongs, but I use both.
Yeah, that's fair. Most of the stuff I play in my bands, well, all the stuff I play in my bands is electric, big drums, guitar, bass, and everything. But I pretty much write everything on an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
Because it's that sit at home watching TV, you're not even really paying attention to what you're doing, and then it's like, whoops, what's that?
Yeah.
You know? And that's just, and it's just the way I come up with melodies and the way I come up with song arrangements and that. So I guess if it works both ways, that's super cool. I wish I could write on piano, but I quit my piano lessons, so here I am. Yeah. So when you started writing songs, do you remember, what was the name of the very first song you ever wrote?
Now, people always ask me those things, and I can't remember because I'm so many songs in. But I did write something really bluesy that it didn't have a name because it wasn't for anybody.
Okay. It was just a piece of music?
Yeah, it was like guitar and vocals, and it was super bluesy and droning, kind of like an old rural blues song that got dug up out of the archives.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Does that go back as far as Thunder Bay when you started writing?
Yeah, as soon as I started piano lessons, I was really lucky because my teacher didn't stop me from doing this. I'd get the music and then I'd go, oh, it'd be cool if we did this in 3 octaves instead of just 1. And so I would make the songs flashier, whether it was like the right choice or not. I was always making them different. And she let me do that, so it was really fast that I wrote my own song.
Yeah. That's cool. I think writing songs is definitely like an art form. It's some people can paint a beautiful picture and some people just kind of slop stuff on. It's in the eye of the beholder, of course, or the ear of the beholder. When you do write songs now, do you write in sort of a like a genre, or are you do you write for the radio for people to listen? Like, this needs to be 2.5 minutes, else it's not going to go anywhere. Or do you just kind of write to write?
I write to write. And sometimes it's not even happening intentionally. It might just be that I sat down at an instrument and now we're writing a song. And so I'm capable of going in with like a specific song shape that I want or a song goal that I have. But I do a lot better if I just kind of like follow the sound.
Okay.
And then change it later. Like, it's not that I never think about what are people going to like, but if I go in thinking what are people going to want from me, I won't be happy while I'm doing it, and I'll probably not want to do it anymore.
I think it's really easy to get stuck in that. It's a bit of a trap too, right? And you kind of sell yourself short when you're being creative. If you're trying to write to fit in a certain box, right? It's best to let it come out, structure it the way it is, and if you want to put it in the box afterwards, at least it all came out the way it was supposed to, right?
Yeah.
And I think I love talking about songwriting because I just find it fascinating how you do it or how somebody else does it, because I know how I do it. I'll sit down with the acoustic guitar. For me, it's always how the vocal would sit on top of the guitar riff or the guitar line. It's very rare that I'll write either of them independently. I don't really write lyrics. I write more of just words and sayings or song titles and stuff like that. And it's very rarely I'll pick up my guitar and just write like a piece of guitar music and be like, oh, I like that, I'm going to use that later. It all kind of happens at the same time. Like, I'll sit there and I'll hum or phonetic, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
And it's all been kind of done so it's hard to find it sometimes. You know what I mean? Does that kind of mirror like what you do, or do you have a different method?
I definitely use a different style. I don't want to say every time, but I'll come at songs from different directions, and that's pretty much my standard way of writing songs. So there might be a day where I'm messing around on the piano, or let's say I'm working on a cover and I kind of just meander away from it. I might find myself realizing, oh, maybe this is a song, and then getting something out of that. And then I'd be following the piano, seeing what comes out of my mouth, whether it's a good melody or whether I have words. And then I just kind of stick to whatever is going the best. So there are times where I've come up with a cool vocal riff, and I know the vowel sound that works in that vocal riff, but I don't have any words. I just keep doing it until I hear what the words are. And I mean, that can be a tricky way to run the show, because then you trap yourself and you have to figure out what the song form is around that, and you have to make verses that make sense, for example.
Yeah.
But that is one way that I've come up with some of the songs that I like the best, and it's just happened.
It is kind of like a puzzle or a riddle, or trying to figure out how it all fits together, because you could have a bunch of different parts, and it's like, okay, these all have to work together, and you could write 3 different chunks of music, and that's fine. People do that all the time. But I always use the word melody for that beautiful melody that flows, and whether it's a fast punk rock song, or whether it's a beautiful like R&B song, or whether it's, you know, anything, you know, it's that flow from start to finish which separates a good song from a bad song. Again, it's in the ear of the beholder, but it's true.
Yeah, I think flow is pretty much the key.
100%. And that's the trick, right? And I think the more you write, the more practice you get at it, or not even practice, just the more experience you get at it, or the over and over and over and over, you just write songs. Because I always say, like, if I had money, if I had like a buck for every half song that I abandoned or just didn't finish, I'd be like a millionaire, absolute millionaire, because those ones are just like floating out there. What is your writing like volume? Are you like a chronic writer where you're just constantly trying to write songs, or constantly actually writing songs?
I am constantly writing songs. I go through stages where I'm constantly starting the songs and not necessarily finishing them, and then a new stage will come where I'm finishing all the songs I'm writing. And more recently, I am like naturally and easier, like it's just easier to get to the finish. I spent a long time writing the first good chunk of a song, and then getting too stressed out about what needed to come next, so that I would just leave it. I'm sure I'll come up with something later. And so I sat with a lot of half songs until I got over whatever that was.
Okay. How full is your voice memo on your phone?
Oh my God. Well, this is less, but it's in the 600s.
No.
But the reason it's in the 600s is because when you rename them, it doesn't count that one if you've renamed it.
Yeah.
So I have like a lot of storage in my phone, but even more than that.
I think that's like the this day's musician's like best friend is the voice.
Absolutely.
The memo. It's like you'd be driving, you'd be doing anything, and be like, oh, okay, and you just talk into it, or you or you have a guitar or something like that. Yeah, I have phones and phones full. I've gone back through my song folders too, or my voice memos, and sometimes it'll just say voice memo 12 or something. You know, where you just don't name it, you save it on a really quick, and I'll go back and I'll listen, and I'll put little names for them, and I'll try to name them all.
Yeah.
Will I ever get back to any of them? Like, no, not all of them, but some of them I've used. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if I ever have a slow day, I do try to go back, like on a whim, going back through them. But there are so many, it's like unmanageable.
Yeah.
All the ideas that are sitting there waiting to get used.
It's true.
But what I love is that they just added in the voice memos, like it can understand the words you're saying sometimes.
Yeah.
So if I know that I wrote a song called Landing, I can keyword search Landing and then hopefully find.
It transcripts it. Yeah, I have the Google 8 Pro or something like that, and that was a new feature. It did it, and I'm like, I didn't know it did that, but it did it, and I was just like, wow, this is the greatest thing ever. And it is the greatest thing ever. Technology for a musician as well. It's just to write, to record, to catch ideas, to release music. It's incredible. It's just a shame that everybody else does it, so it's really hard to get your stuff heard. But we try. We do try. And I think whether people listen to it or whether people don't, whether it gets wide or near, far, or whatever, once you start writing songs, you never stop writing songs. It's always inside of you. Music is always inside of you. And you will always, I'll write songs until I'm old and gray. I'll be sitting in the retirement home writing some shitty song. I'm sure I will. Anyway, speaking of that, I'd like to touch on some of the stuff you've been doing lately or the last few years. But before we do that, why don't we play a song and give the people, the good listeners, some context of what the heck we're talking about?
Yeah, sure.
Did you have a song that you would like them to hear?
So I have this song Surface that I wrote, just a few months ago and just recorded and released in March.
Says here that Surface was released on March 14th, 2025. It's April now.
A mere month ago.
Month and a half ago.
Yeah.
So it's brand new to everyone else. So, okay, this is Elle Sherlock. This is Surface, right here on Ego and Vice.
I fell on the floor beside ya, tracing the shapes in the tile while you shouted. It's well past the time I decided to call it a hard-fought loss, day in, day out. I would rather be falling into the sea, onto the shore, heavenly isle, open the sky, levy the tide, onto somebody else's floor. I was falling for a long time. Rain echoes hammering all night, alright. Sometimes I try and I'm reminded that up there with you on the surface, there's no consequences and no purpose. I would rather be falling into the sea, onto the shore, heavenly isle, open the sky, levy the tide, onto somebody else's floor. I'm not really here mostly. It's hard to focus, hard to come back from, hard to notice. Soft hair, soft spoken, and in the space between the words I felt broken. I would rather be falling into the rolling tide and make you watch me flowing. I would rather be falling into the sea, into the morning light. But I promised to stay dry. And you were always better with wine. And you were always better with wine. You were always better with wine. You were always better with wine.
Okay, we are back. So, did you play any shows in Thunder Bay?
Yeah, I played the cover shows that they do annually. So we did a Florence and the Machine cover band.
Nice.
And I think we actually got asked back, and we did it 2 years in a row. Yeah.
Cool. And why did you move out of Thunder Bay? This is just going to close the Thunder Bay loop because it's near and dear to me.
I went to music school at Western in London, Ontario.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then I just sort of found my way here.
As one does.
Yep.
Yeah. Ottawa was supposed to be a stopover. When I moved from Thunder Bay to Ottawa, it was like the baby Toronto. I'm going to go to Ottawa for a bit, then I'm going to go to Toronto, because going from Thunder Bay to Toronto seemed overwhelming.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I felt the same way.
It's like I'm going to plant my feet in a big city, and then I'm going to move on. And as you know, roots are grown, and here I am still. But Ottawa's my home, and I can go to Toronto anytime I want. I don't really want
I was there 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was easy.
Yeah,
We went.
that's
We
right.
came back.
It's so close. I always talk about how Ottawa is like the hub, such a great hub for being a musician, because Toronto's right there, Montreal's right there, all the little surrounding towns. You can do a tour and like be home for bedtime in your own bed if you wanted to. But so when you came to Ottawa, is that when you really started to play shows or start to put together your brand?
I
Let's say
had
that.
quite a bit of a break when I first came to Ottawa. I didn't meet musicians that were like what I was looking for a while. And I went pretty hard after COVID with performing. But before that, I was just writing and kind of thinking, ooh, I don't know what's going to happen here. So that's how I ended up with this huge backlog of songs. And then I was all ready to go as soon as we were released back into nature.
Well, COVID was either the best or the worst thing for an artist.
Yeah.
It was sometimes it was great for a songwriter because you had tons of time. For bands, some bands split up. I've had bands on the podcast that actually formed during COVID. I'm like, wow, that's different. But yeah, I can relate. I wrote a ton of songs during COVID because I didn't do anything either. Like I was at one time I was in like 3 projects, 3 bands. COVID, nothing. And there was stretches of where I did okay with writing songs, and then there was long probably like months and months and months where I didn't write anything. I didn't even pick my guitar up.
Yeah, I'll have that feeling when I'm writing a lot, when I'm playing a lot, when I used to play so much classical piano, because I did that competitively too. I used to have this thought like, I don't think I could go a day without doing this.
Yeah.
And then one day it just happens. But I don't really like to live that way, so I try to keep myself close to all my gear so that I can play and write whenever I need to.
Right. I think an instrument or a guitar is never too far away from a songwriter. But again, you can just write it in your head too and interpret it the best way you can. So after COVID, you have all these songs. The world is your oyster. What happened?
Yeah, well, at first I joined a band that plays music from another local songwriter. I'm in Reynaldo and the Dalliances, which is Ray Spatten Jr.'s band.
I did see that.
Yeah,
Yes.
I play keyboards with them.
Oh, cool.
And that was really great because that's where I met musicians that I was happy to like work with, ask, do you want to do this project with me? That kind of thing.
Do you still do that?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, our next show is June 20th. Some of us have busy work schedules, so we've been kind of having to put stuff off. But yeah,
June 20th where?
June 20th at Irene's.
Irene's. Oh, I love Irene's.
Yeah. And we've got a lot of new original songs. Ray's always coming with new songs whenever we practice. And they're a winner every time. It's awesome. So that was really helpful for me coming out of not performing to go, okay, here's the difference between not performing and performing. This is what it looks like. Now go home and get something together.
And you did?
And I did. I was going to different open mics just to get my feet wet again.
It's a good call.
And I was probably pretty rough at first because I was so much more nervous than I used to be. Just that break of not doing it.
Yeah.
When you get back into it, you doubt your abilities, and all it takes to mess up is to have some doubts in your head.
It's true.
So yeah, I got back into it. I went to John Carroll's open mic at the Laugh, got to know John, and then Quinn's.
Quinn's
every,
Ale House.
every Sunday night, and I still tend to go to that pretty frequently because it's a great group of people. Great room.
It's very, very intimate.
Yeah.
Yes, where you play back in the corner by the old keg there, if it's still there. I haven't been there in a while because I don't really go to pubs anymore, but I used to be in a duo called the Copper Altar when it was just my friend would sing and I'd play guitar, and we played all those little pubs and stuff like that. So warm, fuzzy memories for sure, and now I just got nostalgic. I apologize. Please continue.
Well, I mean, Quinn's is great. It's at the point now where when I go in there, everybody in the room knows me by name, and it's been so long that I know everybody in the room by name.
Right.
But it's also a really friendly group of musicians, and we'll do little side gigs together. Like, we end up booking gigs. One person goes, "Do you want to play at this place?" And then someone says yes, and then the opposite happens. So that's how I get a lot of gigs around town.
That's cool. You know, if there's like a little community of kind of gig swapping or musician swapping or just
like joint ventures, because sometimes you need a break. You don't want to do 3 hours of just you.
No. nor does the audience want
exactly.
that. Yeah, so variety is for sure. I used to go to open mics a lot. I used to really like them, and I know what you mean about time off too, because I think the first thing I did after COVID, I put on a like an acoustic gig. I called it like the Ego and Vice, my podcast presents show. And it was just like 4 acoustic people. And I remember I used to have nervous energy before shows, but I remember I was kind of like nervous, and I was like going through the whole day. I was just, every once in a while I'd have to do like, you know, that feeling. And that's good. It's good that you can still feel that, right? Sometimes if you get too complacent up there, it shows, right? Confidence and complacency are 2 different things, I think.
Yeah, you need to be in the moment with the song. If you don't care that you're playing it, why would anyone care that you're playing it?
That's right. So you play with that band.
Yeah, and then I just started taking solo gigs.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'd have a solo gig and I'd go, gee, it'd be really great if I actually had some rhythm section for this. And I'd ask a couple people that I had met. And it just kind of snowballed from there.
Cool. And in 2025 so far, you've actually released 3 singles.
Yeah, so 2 of them are just mine. And then another one was a collaboration with a rapper who had approached me. I thought I was just going to write some verses for him. Mm-hmm. So I sent him what I thought was a lousy demo of me doing the verses. And he said, "Oh, actually, this sounds cool with you doing it." And then I became a rapper unexpectedly.
Right. Yeah, I listened to that one. It's kind of like a, it reminds me of, what's that song that Eminem did? Please don't.
I am so out of the rap game that I didn't even realize the entire track was a reference to an existing Eminem song.
Oh.
Like, I heard it and I was like, oh, it sounds like this song. Yeah. But I didn't realize even in the name, it was intentionally a reference to that song. I just wrote what I wrote, and I didn't have... Sing for the Moment is an existing Eminem song. I realized about 2 weeks after we released it, because I went on a little Eminem kick.
Right. Okay, that's cool.
So, I mean...
So that makes sense. Yeah, that's why I kind of heard that then. It was just like, oh, okay, this is that kind of...
I heard Aerosmith, and I went, oh, cool. I'm going to write some stuff around the same theme, or at least some keywords in that Aerosmith song. But it turns out that was an Eminem song referencing an Aerosmith song, and whoever made the track for this rapper was referencing that. Okay. And then I jumped in and just wrote some stuff that I liked. I liked how it sounded. I like every time I do a recording project and I hear how I sound on it, I realize that I can make things I didn't know I could make. Yeah. So it kind of opens up new possibilities.
Yes, I agree with that. And I think everybody should put something into the world, something creative. If you're a creative person, you can't help it. You just keep doing it. And take risks too. You know what I mean? Like, if it's something that's not normally you would, it's good to just see what's out there and just see what you can do. And that song is, it's on your resume. So it's just like, yeah, I've done this.
Yeah, but also what I mean is, like, I like really high energy music that's got some edge to it, but I'm not a track person. As a songwriter, I can't really carry all of that energy with just a guitar. Yeah. And so getting stuff produced and getting a little bit out of my comfort zone with the type of track
Mm-hmm.
makes me realize, like, oh, I already was writing songs that could have sounded like this. I
Yeah.
just didn't understand how we could get them there.
Yeah, that's fair. You jam with people you know. Have you ever thought of putting a band together, like a full band?
I started out having a band. Like in Thunder Bay, I did have a band. And I would like to get a band together. It's just more so right now I'm focused on recording, and I kind of like how that's going.
Yeah.
In terms of setting out just like the tone, the production for the songs. I would rather do that myself and then get going with a band who likes that sound
Yeah.
than try to build the sound with others.
I guess it depends on what kind of band you want to put together, too. It's like, do you want to be equal collaborators to the point where you're all writing together, or do you want to be kind of do you want like hired guns type of stuff, like play this type of thing?
Well, I mean, I think having collaborators is ideal, but it has to happen organically.
Agreed. Yes, and being in a band is very hard. It takes a lot of work. You got to love the people that you're with, and you have to have organic chemistry. You can't force the square peg into the round hole. And if you find people that are like that in your life, you hold on to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you never know. Okay, so Surface came out March 14th, but before that, Sing for the Moment came out February 21st, and New Love came out on, apropos, February 14th, Valentine's Day. Where did you record these?
Those two songs, so Surface and New Love, were recorded at Studio Cimetière in Quillon, which is about an hour away from here.
Okay, cool. How did you find them?
It turned out that producer is someone I actually knew through friends already, but I think I saw like an online, like a Facebook Ottawa musicians ad where he was just going, hey, if anyone wants to record, I have this studio. I looked up the studio, and I had very specific designs on making a cinematic album that I could get synced in film.
Gotcha.
And it happened really quickly. As soon as we started talking, I realized that his band is called the Hylotrons, and there's a whole bunch of totally appropriate sounds that I'd be looking for in my songs and that music.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just how that happened.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's a huge way to get your music out there, and that's where you could actually make money from, like your music or your art is movies. The big thing when I was kind of coming up was trying to get your songs into like video games. Yeah. Because that was a big one, right? Like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5 or something like that. If your song was there, you could write your own ticket. Because it's kind of hard to make money in music these days. Like you don't make money off record sales anymore. It's more touring, shows, or I guess, like you were saying, trying to fit stuff into.
Yeah. Well, in this particular case, I was writing songs that I thought didn't have a home in live performance, especially not solo live performance, because they just don't have the momentum for like a bar crowd in Ottawa, for example.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I realized, oh, this song is for this moment in a movie where like the smoke is clearing and there's a single street lamp. And I kind of slowly just put together, why don't you try to sell them to film?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, but in any case, like, it's the music that I make anyways. It just happens to be what I'm most drawn to, what I want to play at home.
Right.
So.
Cool. Look what the cat dragged in.
Yeah.
We have a mutual friend. His name's Ted Cardy. I've known Ted for about 20 years. I've known him since the mid 2000s, I guess, back in the Big Money Shot days, the Live 88.5 radio station. Anyway, that's a whole other podcast. And I knew I had Ted on the podcast a couple years ago, and he had told me about Look What the Cat Dragged In at the local bar, Meow That's Hot.
Yeah.
Which is owned by a friend of mine, Larry Russell, and his wife. And that place has been going strong for years now. And Ted is using that. I think it's every one Friday a month, I believe, or maybe it's every second Friday.
At least, I think it feels like more. It might be once a month, but it feels like more.
Right, where he showcases a local singer-songwriter on a Friday night anyway. And it's more it's more of an interactive show where you can, at least this is the way he laid it out for me. It's like you can play your songs, but then there's also like a conversation part. Okay, and I actually saw a clip on your Instagram where you were on CTV or what was it?
It was CTV Morning Live.
CTV Morning Live because and you're with Ted on that.
Yeah. So that was something that Ted got me involved in. He runs this charity called Capo, and they do concerts, I think, twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
And people from the business community who kind of like have a side passion for music, they'll play at this open mic. And in between, people who are performing musicians in town play just to kind of keep everything together. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so I did last year the Ottawa Cancer Foundation's event. And they had asked me if I would go on CTV and play a song just to help them promote what was going to be happening at the event since I was going to be playing.
Right.
And I actually had quite a bit of cancer in my family. My mom and my aunt had breast cancer, oddly at the same time, oddly young. Wow. It was this strange phenomenon. And so because I knew I was going to go do this event, I tried to write a song that would work for it. Yeah. So then I played it on CTV.
Was it 6 o'clock in the morning?
It was maybe 8.
8 in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay. How did you feel before playing that song?
Honestly, I had never been in a news studio before, so it was so funny to me how open concept it was and how easy it would be to wander into somebody's set. And when they finally did get me up on the live set, everything happened so fast I didn't even have time to have feelings. It felt very much like I was playing at home. I didn't know if we were rehearsing or actually doing it. So
yeah, that's fair. It was lovely though. I watched it.
It was a great experience. Everyone was so nice. The sound was great. Yeah.
Cool. So what I was looking at here is that you just played a show in Wakefield.
Yeah.
March 1st. Well, I guess 2 months ago. But you have something coming up on May 9th. Is called Lucky Songs Songwriters Round.
Yeah, so that's a songwriters round that Christine Graves organizes, and she's a local singer-songwriter, and she has this series, kind of like Ted's, where she'll get herself and then 2 other songwriters up on stage, and we each take turns playing a song. I've seen her do it one other time, and it was a really nice, if you're into songwriting, it was a really nice event for someone who's just thinking about process, finding out the more raw material that folks are writing. So she asked me if I would do that, and that's what we're going to do on May 9th.
Cool. Where's that?
At Meow, That's Hot.
Meow, That's Hot. There you go. Great little local spot. Really nice owners. You should go there and have a beer. And check out some live music.
And hot sauce. I love their hot sauce.
Oh, yeah, and the
love
hot
the
sauce,
naming
too.
convention for the hot sauce. It's always weird cat stuff.
Yeah. When Larry came on, Larry was on the podcast. Everybody's been on the podcast.
Oh, awesome.
And he brought all the Meow That's Hot that he had at the time. And I had a few hot sauce people. And do you know Heiko?
No.
Heiko's hot sauce? Anyway, okay. It's just another local hot sauce thing. But yeah, I love hot sauce. I'm a actual judge. Heiko's hot sauce is a local hot sauce thing in Ottawa, and his wife Angela, they put together this big hot sauce expo every year. And me and Bob from the Riptides, we are professional hot sauce judges.
Wow.
We have our own little mother of pearl spoons that we go with, and we sit at this round table with all these other people, and we get all these big pads of paper with like ratings and things and stuff like that, and they bring these little anonymous hot sauces in these little cups, and we have to smell it, and we have to taste it, and then we have to write down all our little things.
Do you have a favorite style though? Like if somebody
hot
comes
sauce?
at you with a mango versus chipotle?
I respect all flavor. I'm a condiment guy.
Okay.
Condiments. My favorite food is mustard. Is that weird? But
Nope.
it's true.
I'm in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love mustard. If I could survive off of mustard, I would.
All right.
Hot sauce, I look at food as just a vessel for the condiment that is put on it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
As far as my favorites, I don't like hot sauces that destroy me. That's not my thing. When I was younger, it was more of a dare type of thing, hot sauces, but now it's more of just flavor, smoothness, burn, afterburn, you know, and how I feel in general. So
Okay.
if it's a mango, or if it's like a habanero, or if it's something, a sweet one, or more just like on the pepper side, if it tastes good, I'm there. I'm there for it. I'm there for it. And from our judging of these hot sauces, me and this round table with my friends, it decides who goes into the actual expo. It's a very responsible job.
It's an exclusive event.
It's so fun though. Yeah, it's really cool. So other than the May 9th show, do you have anything else coming up? What does 2025 look like for?
Well, I'm
for
doing
you?
some major charity events. So I'll be playing at the VIP party for the Taste for Hope event, which is a Shepherds of Good Hope fundraiser where local chefs and I don't know what the word would be, people who make amazing cocktails in Ottawa come together and do this big event. I think it's out at the Brook Street Hotel, and that's on June 3rd. So I'm playing the VIP party for that.
Cool.
And also in the works is the Ottawa Cancer Foundation actually did decide that they wanted to use that song I had written.
That's right.
For their campaign this year. So it's their 30th anniversary, and they have some events that are cued in around that. And they were wanting to use that song to set to video, to use as promotional material. So I just went off and recorded that song properly, produced it nicely, and then I'll be playing at a lot of their events. Some of my songs, but mainly that song, leading up to a big gala in November that they're having.
Awesome. Amazing. And yeah, them using that song, it's like, it's exposure for the song for one thing. It's for a good cause, and it's just like, it justifies, like, I'm doing something right here. You know what I mean? I would love to sell a song. I forever have like imposter syndrome, where it's just like I'm waiting for someone to just like discover that I'm an absolute fraud when it comes to music. But to have someone actually buy a song, what a validation of, like, you know.
Well, thank you. I mean, I've got that imposter syndrome thing going on. I feel like so many people who are doing creative things or even athletics, like, they're always living with this idea that they can't do it, but
Yeah.
you just keep going.
Oh, I can do it. I just don't think it's any good. That's the difference. It's like, oh, I can write a song right now. Will it be any good? I don't think so. Sometimes I'll write something that I like, but
Well, you know what I actually did? I connected with this American group called Songtown that helps you get publishers to not pick up your song. Like, they'll take a non-exclusive contract for your song. I have publishers in the U.S. that have signed my songs, which
cool.
doesn't mean they're using them. It means that they're allowed to use them.
Yeah.
If they can find a place to pitch them to.
you still own them?
Yeah, I still
Okay.
own them.
That's
So
good,
I
yeah.
have right of refusal, stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, branching out via internet networking
That would-
actually
see-
made a big difference for
See,
me.
I could totally get down with that, because honestly, my music in my life right now, I have no misconceptions that I am not going to survive playing music in any time in my life, especially at this point. But I still love it. I still do it. I don't want to go as far as to say, oh, it's just a hobby, because it's not a hobby. It's a passion. But I would do it whether I get paid or not, obviously. But something like that would be really fun to
Yeah.
like write songs with the intention of doing what you just said. Like, maybe somebody will, yeah.
Well, there's all sorts of things you can do. Like, you can write custom. Custom is where you get a description of what they're looking for, and you write based on the description. You can have your whole library of songs sitting around, and then when they're briefs that describe what they're looking for, like to go in TV shows, you can go, oh, I have a song that fits that, and then that can get pitched to that brief. Cool. Or you can write specific for artists and try to get artists to take your song and make everyone think it was theirs.
Right. Right. That actually interests me. I may pick your brain a bit afterwards on that one, but
I'm just getting into it, but I love it.
Yeah, but we won't bore the audience any longer with stuff that's very interesting. Heaven forbid you don't want to hear the interesting stuff. I guess I have a game. It's called 13 Questions with the Band. It's kind of a rapid fire questions.
13. Okay.
Well, usually only ask about 7 of them.
Okay.
I ask from
I
the
can
13
relax.
questions.
Okay.
One thing before, is there any, before we kind of go into that, did we miss anything? Is there anything that you wanted to cover that we didn't touch upon?
I mean, I don't know. I have a website. It's ellsherlock.com. You can follow me on Instagram. I post covers and videos of me playing and what I get up to pretty frequently. But I mean, other than that, not really.
Okay. All the links for Elle will be on the posting of the podcast, Linktree, everything like that. So you'll be able to find everything she's doing, everywhere she is, if you listen to the episode. So
Cool.
There we go. Okay. Let's do 13 questions with Elle Sherlock.
Time for 13 questions with the band. Yes, this segment's back again. It's called 13 questions, but I only asked 6, maybe 5.
Okay, we're back. 13 questions. From the 13 questions. What is your favorite song today?
The song is called Starburster. It's by Fontaines DC. It's an Irish post-punk band, and I swear to God, I found it before it got famous, and now it's incredibly famous, and they are awesome.
Don't you hate that?
Mm-hmm. Well, no, but good for them.
Yeah, and then when you tell people, they're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
You're a follower, not a leader.
I saw Green Day before Kerplunk, or before Dookie came out. They were just this little band opening for Bad Religion in Minneapolis. I was like 15. I was in Minneapolis with friends. Anyway, and I thought they were the greatest band. And then they blew up. And I said, I saw Green Day before they were big. And nobody believes me. But I have the ticket stub. Anyway, next question. You just got a great review. What were some of the high points?
I mean, I like when people appreciate the nuance of what I do because I obsess over details. So if someone noticed meanings in my lyrics or like multi-layers of meanings in my lyrics, I would go, thank you, I tried. So probably that.
Cool. If you could build a dream gig, where would it be and who would you want to play with?
So a dream gig for me is going to have aspects of how the performances went at Woodstock, but not the reality of how that concert was set up, because I don't think in this day and age that would be fun for an audience at all, and it would be so expensive. So some kind of a really cool rootsy outdoor festival where people are fed and the weather's amazing.
There is a question, because Woodstock comes up on here a lot in 13 questions, and I always ask, which one?
I'm sorry. The one where we had Richie Havens kicking ass and Joe Cocker doing the cover that everybody can't get over.
Right. Not Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit setting things on fire and
busting
inciting a
down the
riot?
gates.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like Bush, but that was not a graceful concert execution.
Again, the Woodstock question has arose on Ego and Vice. Which one? We move on. Desert Island Record. If you got stranded on a desert island for, say, 5 years and you can only bring one piece of music, one complete album, let's say.
Oh, I definitely know what this is. It's going to be somewhere in my brain because I have thought of this before. Like a Beatles album's a safe answer. Actually, Beach Boys. But
wow.
I grew up with Beach Boys. I think I could handle Beach Boys on a desert island.
You mentioned that we have a mutual friend named Rob Mills. Have you ever had a Beach Boys conversation with Rob?
No.
Wow. You guys could go deep. He's like, him and Andy are like, Beach Boys is their inspiration for life.
Okay.
Yeah, you should, next time you talk to him, say, so, the Beach Boys, and let them go.
Yeah,
let them go.
The answer's a little bit out of left field for me, but I think I stand by it.
Good.
Yeah.
Hey, I think it's like the fest in Chicago, like the big punk rock fest. The Beach Boys are playing. I looked up, and I said no. And I looked up on YouTube. I said Beach Boys Live 2024, and there they are.
Wow.
It's like 5 out of the 6 originals or something, just in their Hawaiian shirts and stuff. It's great. I dig it.
That is pretty punk.
Yeah, still singing the surfing songs, all the hits too. It's like they didn't even like go into that crazy Brian Wilson stuff. They're playing the hits like "Let's Go Sing."
Yeah.
Okay. I respect that. You know what I mean? You play what got you there. Anyway. Okay. If you had to choose to do one or the other, period, would it be writing and recording or performing?
Writing and recording.
Yeah. That's a tough one because some people love being on stage. I like being on stage.
Yeah.
But there's something so... When you write a song and the first time you hear it played back at like a studio or, you know what I mean? That's a feeling that some people will never, ever understand. And for me, I writing and recording is more important than actually performing the music. Well, to me it is. That's my opinion. And I think that's the most fun of it.
I love performing, but if I don't have creative control
Right.
over the content, I don't think I would be happy.
That's fair. Absolutely. Do you consider yourself like a control, like you need all the control? Like,
No, I just mean that I think the reason I like music so much is because I like putting parts of myself into something creative.
yeah,
So even if I'm doing someone else's song, I'm going to have a meaning for myself that song holds, whether it's their meaning or not, and I'm going to deliver it how I want.
that's fair.
But I think it's mostly because I want to write that I'm doing music.
Yeah. Yeah, it comes full circle to the phone memo. If your phone is like jam full, like you're a creative, like you have that creative. Yeah, I get it. I totally understand that. And I will never stop writing songs. I'll never stop creating stuff. But when I'm in the Riptides, and this might not make it, but when I'm in the Riptides, none of it's really mine. It's all Bob and Andy's, or it's mainly Bob's, and it's just like I'm perfectly happy just playing along that stuff. And they're thinking, well, what do you think? And I'm just like, whatever. That's all.
Yeah, it's a different experience.
But when I'm in doing my own thing, like with Goat and stuff like that, I'm not like a tyrant, but I'm like, I really want it to be this, this, and this, and this, and this. It's like, and you need to.
Well, now that I'm working with more people, I know that. Like I'm sort of finding that out. It depends on the song, but there are some times where I'm really stuck. Like, no, it means this. It wouldn't exist if it didn't mean this. And
It has to. Yeah. It has to be done this way. I know. I get it. I completely understand. Like, you don't even have to explain it. I get it. And it's not being like a jerk. It's not being like a control freak. It's just, that's the way I hear it. That's the way it's written. And that's the way I want it to be. And there's nothing wrong with that because it's mine. Anyway.
Well, people get it. When you work with creative people, when somebody in the room is certain, they notice that and they understand.
Yeah.
So they work around it, and they all have their moments to be certain about stuff. So it's not...
Totally true. And it's totally true. And it's just like in the Riptides where I love Bob's songwriting. I think for what he does, he's one of the best songwriters I've heard for that pop punk kind of genre. Super catchy, super great songs. I trust his judgment so much.
Yeah.
That I don't need to argue it. It's just like, you do you, man. You know what I mean? And anyway. Okay.
Cool.
Elle Sherlock the movie. Who would play you?
Elle Sherlock the movie. Can I do it?
Yeah, sure. Who else did it? Howard Stern did that. Eminem did that.
There you go.
Who else did that? Well, he played a version of himself, but it was still him.
Yeah, I want to be in it. That sounds fun.
Yeah, that would
if
be
I
cool,
can't play myself, I at least want to be in it as like the friend.
Yeah, you have that. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, a couple more questions. If you could have a drink or a meal with anybody, live or dead, alive or dead, who'd it be?
So maybe Trent Reznor, maybe Rick Rubin, but I feel like that's a little played out. I feel like he's had way too many people pick him.
Yeah.
So we go with Trent.
Trent Reznor. That'd be cool though. Like, he's a really creative guy, and he's had a very interesting life and career.
I like the way he thinks about writing. I've heard him say like, we're looking for a mood here. That's what we're making.
That's
and
cool.
Some of his writing too has just been like an aggressively written journal that wasn't meant to be a song. And I get that. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, we're getting barked upon. Yeah, that's a great answer. Trent Reznor. Final question for 13 questions with the band, or with Elle Sherlock. I have 2 of them, and you can answer either one. Who is Elle Sherlock? Or can you describe yourself in 3 words?
No. I mean, I'm just a lady that does martial arts and plays music. That's
Okay.
There you go.
Sweet. Well, I want to wish you all the best. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
No problems. Parting words, is there any thank yous you have that you want to put out there before we go?
Well, I mean, you're going to play some of the tracks that I did with Studio Cemetery. So Studio Cemetery in Quillon was awesome. Highly recommend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just general gratitude to the Ottawa music community for being so welcoming. It's been incredible for me, kind of being a little shy to get started, but then having such an easy time of meeting people and connecting with musicians. So yeah, thank you, Ottawa.
Thank you, Ottawa. And thank you, Elle. All the best, and let's do this again sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
He puts the phone down and says, "Come here." And then he is lost a while inside her deep brown eyes, entangled up in golden hair. She's what you could be. If you were here. Somehow you always taste like wine to me. I feel a little dizzy, even still. You could be loyal and never tell. But I know your skin's too soft to keep it to yourself. There must be somebody else in your head, in your arms, in your bed. Somebody else in your head, in your arms, in your bed. She puts the phone down and looks at him. It's just a parlor trick, a flick of a switch. I'm telling you, it's a terrible way to live. How long?
Hey, that's it. That's the end of episode 157. I would like to thank Elle Sherlock for coming on the show and sharing her songs and her story. Look her up where you get a chance and go see her play. I think you'll be pleasantly entertained. If you want to get a hold of me, you can reach me at egoandvice@gmail.com. If you want to check out the podcast, go to egoandvicepodcast.com. That is the hub, the fortress of solitude, the home base for everything that is Ego and Vice. Links to everywhere you need to go to. Or episodes right there if you want to watch them or listen to them there. Watch them. Oh, you almost sucked me into the video conversation. Ain't happening. Ain't happening. Maybe one day. Until that day, you're stuck with me as is. See you later.
You've got a real attitude problem, McFly. You're a slacker.